I had a conversation with our producer, Toronto Mike, yesterday, I think it was, and I said, hey, Boone, why don't we find somebody that can talk to us about a way for our audience and ourselves to support the people inside Ukraine. I said, I hear so many different charities, and I'm not 100% sure who to call or who I should put my support behind and maybe the show. And without, like in seconds, Mike sourced out Kate Bain from Charity Intelligence Canada. Kate, welcome to the show.
Great to be on with you guys. Good morning.
Well, good morning. And Kate, let's get right to it. First of all, tell us what Charity Intelligence is, and then maybe let's get right to how people listening can support the people of Ukraine and what types of support that they need the most.
So Charity Intelligence is like the Consumer Reports. We do the star ratings on charities. So we do the in-depth research and analysis so that you know what your giving does. So we have a website, and on our website, we have nearly 800 charity reports with stars and, like letter grades. So you can see where your dollar goes and what kind of impact we've seen your giving have. And we do our top 100 lists every giving season and our top impact charities. So it's a go-to resource. If you're thinking like in a situation like we have with Ukraine, when it seems like every single charity has come out of the woodwork and is now fundraising for Ukraine. Our thoughts, our analysis, we've been working on disaster responses since 2011, and we look back at a charity's track record. Who did what in Haiti? How did these charities respond to the Nepal earthquake of 2015? And going from that track record, we've come up with our top picks for the Ukraine situation.
Yeah, one thing about whenever you give to charity, you want to know how much of each dollar is actually going to the cause. Do you provide that information?
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's the first thing I look at.
Yeah, and people are looking at that. So that's called Sense to the Cause. For every dollar you donate, how much goes to fundraising and admin, and how much goes to the cause. That's actually one number that we look at, one of our metrics. Okay. But we also think it's important, especially, so when you're regularly giving, that's one thing. But when you're looking at the Ukraine situation, we're looking at different metrics, what we call a speed test, looking at how these charities in the past, how quickly they've got the money out the door. The biggest risk we see is you do not want your support today to be sitting in a Canadian bank account 2 years from now. Good point. You want to get your money, your support today over to Ukraine, inside Ukraine, where it can give support where it's so urgently needed. So when it comes to an emergency response, and I would say Ukraine is very different from an earthquake. It's very different from a hurricane. Those natural disasters have happened. They're over, and it's safe for the humanitarian workers to come in. Ukraine is a war, and we haven't seen many wars of this scale before. So what we're seeing is that actually most of the humanitarian response is on the borders of Poland and Hungary. And I know we're all focused on those 3 million Ukrainians who have fled Ukraine, and they are now in Hungary and Poland. They are exhausted, they are distressed, but they are safe. And P.S., everybody, Europe is very rich, and the humanitarian response to this war in Ukraine is unprecedented. So for people who are thinking about, sending bottled water from Canada over to Poland, Poland has safe drinking water. Germany has medical supplies. We do not need to send donated clothes or medical supplies or diapers or baby food from Canada over to Poland because they have all of that there. So we just need to think a little bit. I know we're all motivated by our hearts and wanting to do good intentions, but let's just think about how our giving can be smart.
Well,
and we want your aid to get in.
I was going to say, let's pause there and I've just gone to charityintelligence.ca, and I'm going to recommend everyone else go check it out. So now that you've given us some of the background, and there's some numbers around the people that use Charity Intelligence, the Canadians that have trusted it, and now that we know what not to give, can you recommend some charities to us? And if people listening can we just go to charityintelligence.ca and these recommends are there?
Yep. Yep. Okay. That's our article on how to help Ukraine. And over 137,000 Canadians have read that. And it's like a guide of, it sort of lays out our thinking. And our thinking on Ukraine is, if you want to think of like a bullseye or a darts, there are many charities fundraising and they are on the periphery. You really want to see if you can get your giving inside Ukraine. Yes. So it's not so much the 3 million Ukrainian refugees who are safe, who are outside of Ukraine, and they have tremendous support. We're focusing on how we can get our dollars inside Ukraine to help support the 41 million people inside Ukraine. So when you're looking at how can you get your giving from Canada into Ukraine, we're looking at different ways of giving. There, you can give directly to the Ukrainian Red Cross, and there's a link there. If you've had a chance to watch the Netflix documentary, Winter on Fire, you can see the work of the Ukrainian Red Cross. It is battle tested and true. It's very different from the Red Cross organizations we see in North America. It's not a Canadian charity, and you will not get a tax receipt for that. So that's just one issue you need to be aware of. But that's one way you can get your dollars inside Ukraine to help save lives.
Now, so would that pass the speed test, as you said? So that's something that will get a speedy result in terms of sending your money directly to the people that need it the most?
So when we look at the speed test, we're going to be looking at the Canadian charities, how much money they've raised, and when do they spend the money. And there's a big trend in humanitarian response to spend the money over 5 years, to focus on longer term development, on rebuilding. That's not what Ukraine needs now. Ukraine needs help now. It needs medical supplies. It needs that humanitarian corridors. And those are things that in many cases can be outside of a charity's area of expertise. So when we're looking at the speed test, we want your donations to get inside Ukraine as quickly as possible.
How would you look at, as far as a speed test goes, you've heard about the Airbnb thing where people are renting Airbnbs in Ukraine with no intention of ever going there. It's just a way to transfer that money quickly. Is that just too exclusive for you to even think about?
I'm blown away by it. It's innovative.
Oh okay.
It is known, it is evidence-based, it is proven that direct cash transfers are the second most effective way to help people in an emergency. Don't send them stuff, give them money, and then they can meet their own needs, whether it's getting a train ticket, getting medicine, buying food. People have the dignity to be able to get what they need. So what is so innovative, and we've never seen this before, so there's no track record, but people have recognized that the Airbnb platform is a way to get cash inside Ukraine directly into the pockets of people, maybe in those cities of Mariupol or Kyiv.
Right.
So it ticks all our boxes. It's quick, and it's getting cash, not stuff, and it's inside Ukraine. So we'll have to see.
That's amazing. So Ukrainian Red Cross, which is different than the Canadian Red Cross, and you had another recommend, MSF/Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
What does the MSF stand for?
Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders, as we know it here in North America, is sort of a hyphen name. So Doctors Without Borders, in all the disaster responses we've looked at, they always come up tops. They are the fastest. They're in. They're out. And they are providing medical equipment, and that is proven to be one of the most impactful ways. So Doctors Without Borders is inside Ukraine. It's in the western area, which is relatively safe, called Lviv, and they are coordinating with the hospitals across Ukraine. What are the medical supplies they need? And there are shortages. And it has a massive logistics expertise. I mean, big trucks coming in with the specialized medical care, whether it be for mass casualties, surgical supplies. So that again is high impact with a great track record.
Well, there you go. CharityIntelligence.ca. If you've gleaned nothing else from this, just know that's a great place to go. It's got ratings and reviews on Canadian charities, and now there's a link to what you can do inside Ukraine right now and today, and to have the highest impact for your charity dollar. Kate, before we let you go, just over your shoulder is a statue in the background. What is that? An award for? What is that an award for, Kate?
No, it's not. But I do have a Nikki Lauda hat that my kids got me for Christmas. So I have no idea how they got that for me, but Nikki Lauda, he's a gem.
Okay, well, listen, my friend, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this. We've enjoyed having you on.
I'm a huge fan of you guys, so great to be on. Thanks for having me.
No. We don't. You don't have to go yet.
Okay,
if we knew you were huge. Whenever this comes up at the end of an interview, I always say, "Well, there's time left for you to tell us how much
We'll
you
cut out another half hour for you."
Exactly. How are you a huge fan of the?
Oh, Humble and Fred. I mean, what an opportunity to be on this platform. I was saying to my kids, I think I've made it now. I'm now on the Humble and Fred podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's you guys are It's interesting. I must be the first nerdy data analyst to ever be on your show. This is sort of out of your zone a little bit, but great to be a research analyst on the Humble and Fred podcast.
Well, we've learned so much from you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Kate, thanks very much. CharityIntelligence.ca. And you talk about ticking all the boxes, Kate. It's exactly what I thought we would be able to pass on to our audience, which is a place for people to go. And as you said, all the things you don't need to send. Cash is great. Red Cross is great. Even Airbnb is doing something, as you say, innovative, and that will have an impact immediately. Thanks very much.
Great
Thanks,
to be
Kate.
on. Thank you.